Welcome to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. I'm Diana.
I'm Liz.
And this week we're going to talk about season 13, episode 8, The Scorpion and the Frog.
Okay, the story of the scorpion and the frog. So it's not a song and it's not something quirky. It's just a fable where a scorpion asks the frog to take it across the river. And the frog's like, I don't know, man, you're a scorpion. And the scorpion is like, dude, why would I sting you? If I sting you, we'll both drown. And the frog is like, I guess that makes sense. So then he goes, hop on my back. So then as they're going across the river, the scorpion stings the frog. And the frog is like, why, man? Why? And he's like, because I'm a scorpion. And then they die.
That's a sad story.
It is.
But, yeah.
And it means that a scorpion can't change its stinger, and it'll always sting you.
Always sting you. Okay.
Yeah. Don't trust a scorpion.
It's like a tiger can't change his stripes kind of thing.
Kind of, yeah.
Ish.
Except that you die.
Oh, well, what have you been up to, Liz?
You're like on that happy note, but you die. So I guess in preparation for my birthday week, I got a creative cosmology tarot reading where
Ooh.
she took my birth chart and then looked at it like in relation to all the houses that map to the different astrological signs, I guess is the way to say it. I don't know. So it'd be like, so I don't know. I got a whole sent me a whole chart on it. And so goes through like just like any astrology thing where they do your chart and where I've got Cancer is in my rising, and I'm Taurus rising and Sun Cancer, blah. But so Venus, though, is in Gemini at 15 degrees. And so that means that she looks at Venus first because it's a planet and goddess of creativity, beauty, art, aesthetics, and culture. And that's information for your creative soul. And so she looks to see where Venus is in my chart, and Venus is in Gemini at 15 degrees. And so then that means like certain things based on something ancient. She did say there was ancient power, ancient things.
Ancient power.
I don't know if she used the word power, but like if you go further back in astrology and you look at them like, is that really what you're doing? That's cool if it is. But so it was a fun way to spend an hour and to just think about what is, so the creative cosmology. Then she ends up with, besides what I get read from the chart, I get a little package, and it talks about what my creative style and interests are based on my chart, and how my creative pace and space work, where my creative flow and direction comes from and where it goes, and what the bigger picture is. So it's kind of a cool thing to think about, like, is going through my creative journey and figuring out where I'm flowing as an artist and
A
as
little
a
more
person.
targeted and
And
like focused in on
yeah,
a
I think she also really wants to like help me with marketing, because we
okay,
talked
cool.
a lot about Patreon and different other paths of like how to sell the book, and who would be interested in in that line, who's interested in the book, who's interested in the podcast, how I can bring those together. So a lot of it was pretty practical. And there is that thing where she offers like more, like there's mentorships and stuff that I could join afterwards. And I had this happen with my last astrology person, who is also a really good, I really like her too. But I feel like, and I know that's kind of the astrology game, right? It's not just the I read your chart once, I make my living if you're
Right.
coming to me and you're consulting
Regularly.
for different things. So I understand that, but it still kind of feels like not like multi-level marketing, but it's still like there's a sales pitch in it, because there has to be. And that's, I mean, it's just it's how they're making their living, right? So I don't, I don't know what's the word for it. Like, I don't like, I'm not putting her down for doing it.
No.
It's just like, oh,
You're
like, it's like,
aware.
aware, you know? So it was still a fun thing to do.
That is fun. I know, it's exciting. It's your birthday week. Woohoo!
It is. So just so you guys know, all of our dozens of avid listeners, that next week we'll be taking a week off. I don't know if we'll put anything in the queue or in there, but yeah, we're gonna
Yeah.
take the week off just so I can go to Lilydale, the home of
Mhm.
the spiritualists, and nerd out, or as the astrologer said in my things, that I like to dork out. And
Dork out.
I
Okay.
appreciate, I appreciate that being a part of my personality is dorking out.
That's reasonable.
That's reasonable. Yeah, and I was like, that seems accurate. And I'm like, are you saying this because of my chart or because of what I told you that I do?
Or both.
Or both? Because did you just naturally take a guess that I was going to be a nerd?
Is that, I don't know how I'd feel about that. I'll take it, I guess, if it was me. But, oh,
So, and what else? Everything else is been mainly hoop stuff. I did a new type of hoop, which is the lollipop lira, which is basically a lollipop, a lira hoop on top of a stripper pole. And it's very different. Being on a hoop with a stick up your ass. And it's the hoop that I normally am on. We usually tape them, although not all of them are taped. But so think about hanging on to a circle that has tape all over it, or hanging on to one that's just like a monkey bar, like that type of
very
material.
different.
It is
Yeah.
a very different kind of gripping situation. So I'm still trying to figure out how to do the right grip and not like slip my hands all the way off. And the other thing that's kind of scary about it, because they're mounted on, so it's a hoop mounted on a stick, and the stick is on a stage, right? And there's no padding, there's no mat on that stage.
Oh. Oh, no.
So
No crash mat?
Lyra,
No crash mat.
there's no crash mat underneath that hoop. So I'm not falling off. You can't fall off.
Yeah.
So
No.
but that does make things it made things a little scarier. But
Yeah. For
it
real.
was cute because the class is like an hour long, and there's only one lollipop lira they had 4 people in class, so we had to take turns. And
Yeah.
she in order to make sure we got our money, she's like had these like conditioning stations, like so you can work on abs and do planks or whatever. And then she was like, y'all don't seem to be into doing that. No, really don't. Like, I'm cool with just sitting here when I'm not up
Waiting
on
my
the
turn. I
lyric.
don't
I'm
need
just
to
waiting
go
my
any moment.
turn. I don't need to be exercising for a pure hour. And I know she's like, you paid for this class, so you should get what you pay for. But also, I'm quite okay with sitting and waiting my turn.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah, and so yeah. So what about you? What have you been up to?
I have not been up to much. I was under the weather this weekend, so I did not leave my house from about Friday mid-morning, really, until for a minute Sunday morning, and then that was it. So it was a very low-key few days for me. So I have nothing exciting to say
Did
about
you
that.
watch anything?
What did I watch? Yeah, I mean, I've been watching School Spirits. I've been making some progress on that. I didn't get too far though. Still getting through it. That's about it.
Yeah, I finished L, and so I
Yeah,
don't know. I don't recommend it for everybody. It was like I would have to talk to each of you personally and tell you whether or not it was recommended for you. The thing
that
I
seems like a
will
lot.
It is because it's very specific, and there's different things about it that I think would appeal to different people, but there's specific things I think would turn other people off because it is very high school focused, but I don't mind a high school story, and I know other people who that does not bother. But in particular, this high school was set in Seattle during the grunge times, and they really
Yeah.
like went full on out and made it a super spooky high school that I wish really existed. and that I would have
Okay.
had the chance to go to. Like
I mean, I did
they
watch
didn't have a
soccer this
prom.
weekend.
Okay. So, yeah.
I mean, it's World Cup time still, so I mean, I did watch soccer.
So,
I
yeah.
don't know. Or football, as they call it in other places. Bleh. Anyways. Yeah. Well, cool. Well, let's jump on into our episode.
All right. So, The Scorpion and the Frog, which is season 13, episode 8, first aired November 30th, 2017. And it was directed by Robert Singer. And the last time the great Robert Singer, the last time he directed for this show was in season 12. And he did quite a few that season. The top three being The Foundry. Actually, he only did three that season. The Foundry, episode 3, First Blood, episode 9, and episode 23, All Along the Watchtower. He has already done one this season 13. He did episode 3, Patience. This was written by Meredith Glenn, and this season she did 13, episode 4, The Big Empty. And then last season she did Ladies Drink Free, and then she did The Future with Robert Behrens as well. So, in our recap, we've got the shootout where Jack killed a guard. Jack is running away. Lucifer had Death Slam. Then there's evil Colonel Sanders, who is on the hunt for Jack. Ketch is not dead, and he's also not an evil twin. And then Cass swore he'd protect Jack. And that's where we go. And then we're going to start off in Cambridge, England at 7:45 p.m. on a Friday.
Yeah. And we've got a woman entering the Cambridge Museum, and she just, casually strolls back into the staff only area while the museum's closing and has the code to go into the archive room. Super casual, but it doesn't seem to work, but it kind of does. She just like shove it open still. Digs through, finds 2 parchments, is like obsessing over them so it takes way too long to put them in her purse. So security catches her.
Well, and finally, like, these parchment and scrolls are in plastic. What the fuck?
Weird.
There's no way that an ancient fucking piece of parchment is gonna be put in non-archival plastic. There's no way this would ever exist. And then the guard comes in and he's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" But because he's British, he's like in the nicest way. He's like, "Madam, why? What's going on?"
Yeah. And then she's she's possessed by demons. The demon shoots out of her and cocksmokes out of her into the security guard. And so then he just picks up the bag and goes and meets this dude in an alley where he hands off the parchments and is like, "Oh, well, Asmodeus reward us." And then he gets stabbed with an angel blade.
Does everyone just have an angel blade now? I feel like they are just like these things.
Very
Maybe
common.
it has to do with like the fall, but it feels like everybody has one now. And I feel like these should be harder to come by for demons. I don't know. So like if they were just finding out about them, like, in one of these seasons, and now all the demons have them. Anyways, so that man, who we don't know at this point, calls Dean Winchester and he tells him he's got something he might be interested in. And then we go to the bunker where Dean is vigorously cleaning his gun.
Apparently not for the first time, because Sam comes in and has a report and talks, gives him a hard time about his cleaning his gun. But then also they discuss that there's no sign of Catch or Jack. But then Dean's phone rings, and this is the call that we just saw. And it's a British guy saying that he's got something for him. And Dean's like, "No." And the guy's like, "Oh, but I know about your Nephilim and word on the street that it's gone rogue." And Dean's like, "What street?" He's like, "Hell Street." And that's kind of funny. I have some used at least.
That is pretty
but
funny.
Basically, he's like, "Look, I have a way to find him, so you need to meet me at your diner at 12:45.
And then they're walking down the streets of Lebanon, Kansas, because that's where the bunkers are. And so they pass Bangtown Hair Saloon and several other storefronts. And the scene was filmed on the 400 block of West Pender Street in Vancouver. And all the businesses and signage shown, including the diner, are the actual stores on that street.
Oh, neat. So they get to the diner, and this dude is waiting for them. And he knows them as the famous Winchesters, and introduces himself as Barthamus, but he can be Bart, but he's a demon. and he has pie ordered for Dean because he knows the way to Dean's attention. But it's like, look, I've been following you. You're natural disruptors like me. Ooh, okay. And he's like, but here's what I've got for you is a genuine Nephilim tracking spell. Boop-a-doo. And I'm a crossroads demon, so I make deals. So don't trust me. But I need something in return for this, for half of the spell. I'll give you half of it now, and then you can have the other half later. And Dean's like, we just need to
Yeah,
ice
but
his ass.
yeah, and he's not just like a crossroads demon. He is the king. He is the king of the crossroads now. So he just want to make sure we got that in there.
Yeah. And Bart's like, hey, Sam, why don't you like research this parchment? Because you're the one with the brains and you can tell if it's legit or not. And then he leaves. And
And
then
Dean
Dean eats
actually
pie.
gets to eat, yeah, he actually gets to eat his pie for a change, which is nice.
Yeah.
So back in the bunker, Sam has the spell and thinks it's checks out. Is Canaanite dating back to the Queen of Sheba, who according to the lore was half angel. And no, we're not doing lore on the Queen of Sheba, although I thought about it. But I will say nowhere in the lore that is Wikipedia does it mention anything about her being a Nephilim. So
Okay.
at least that is supernatural lore. So, but basically what happened is that King Solomon created a spell to track his girlfriend because he was a creep. And so the spell should work if they get the other.
Yeah. So they go meet Bart at a industrial site because of course they do. And Bart is there with two other people sitting at a table with some photos and things attached to a board and introduces them to Smash and Grab.
And Smash is a safe cracker. Grab is a demon who can get past any supernatural warding. And we're like, wait, a safe cracker? What is this? A heist? Wait, is this a heist? Is this a heist episode? Yes, it is. And does that mean there's heist lore? Yes, it does. So, our two main sources for lore are a 2021 article in The Independent by Rebecca Banovic and the podcast Infamous International, the Pink Panthers stories. The rest will be in our show notes. So, our heist lore today centers around a member of the international jewel thief organization, the Pink Panthers. Now, the Pink Panthers have been around for over 30 years, and their heist between the early 1990s and the mid 2010s netted $500 million. They have robbed across Europe and Asia. When they committed Britain's largest jewel heist, stealing $40 million in precious stones, they hid one of the jewels in a jar of cold cream, which earned them the nickname the Pink Panthers, because that was what happened in the Pink Panther movie. Sorry if that was obvious to you. But so the Pink Panthers have no organized chain of command, but rather are a network of loosely organized small teams, mostly from former Yugoslavia and many Bosnian war veterans. Each cell has an area of operation. Interpol Secretary General Ron Noble told 60 Minutes in 2014 that the group uses specialized experts in fields like safecracking and carjacking to carry out the heist. A typical attack can be over in under a minute and is usually carried out with military precision. In Dubai, they drove two Audis, one of them backwards into a mall, and they smashed into a jewelry store, stole a bunch of diamonds, and then got out in 45 seconds.
Crazy.
It was pretty epic. I mean, bad. Crime is bad. So, how does one become a member of the Pink Panthers? Well, for the Serbian Olivera Cirkovic, I think that's right. So it started with a career in professional basketball. She grew up in Belgrade and had what was called an idyllic child for Yugoslavia, and then became a top Yugoslav basketball player. In 1992, she moved to Greece to play basketball. She was a fierce power forward and did well both in the court and in her finances, investing and owning multiple businesses. In Athens, she would meet her future ex-husband, a man in the previously mentioned Pink Panthers. At first, her husband wanted her to keep her nose clean, but over time, Olivera became increasingly friendly with her husband's associates. Then she got pregnant, not by the associates, by her husband, and she went back to Belgrade, where the black market had emerged during the sanctions and remained after they were lifted. So the things that people in Serbia wanted came from the West, and there was a resentment towards the West over the sanctions, which in turn created the attitude that even though stealing is wrong, the West is rich and owes them, so fuck it. So you might as well steal. It's just kind of an attitude that's kind of prevalent in Serbia. So Olivera could also do math and saw the opportunity to buy stolen items at a third of their market value using her existing legitimate businesses as a front. I made a decent amount of money in sports, but crime infected me. It's the fastest way to make a fortune. I realized I could earn an entire annual basketball contract in one day, she said to The Independent. She established connections with partners who smuggled illicit goods such as high end apparel and jewelry into Serbia. Olivera had her own showroom for sparkly wares, and even politicians and doctors and the famous would come to see her offerings. Soon, she outpaced her suppliers for what they could provide, and she wanted more input into what items were being imported. So, like, she was like, I don't want last month's Gucci bag, or I want this certain line that's coming out, So she kept getting deeper and deeper into it until she was running the teams, organizing, recruiting, and vetting team members. She would make sure everyone knew the logistics and surveillance of the stores would go on for weeks before a hit. She disciplined her team like a sports team. By the late 1990s, Olivera became a well-known figure in crime circles, and her crews were known for getting paid. She also said that her teams lived by a code. Again, from The Independent. I am not justifying myself, but within the heist, I still imposed a moral code of conduct. Preferably at night when no staff are present, loot without weapons where possible, use minimal force, no hurting people, and no stealing from the poor, exclusively designer and jewelry stores, which have the insurance to protect them. There was no violence in the actions I planned. If there was, it was very little. If we did use weapons, they were fake. We always anticipated arrest, and we knew a fake weapon would reduce our sentences. So after she left her husband, she fell in love with a man 10 years her junior named Dragon, who ran a team of jewel thieves in Athens. And there's just like, girl, nothing good ever comes from dating a man named Dragon. It's just not going to end well. We know this. No. So, but she decided that it was time for her to do a jewel heist. And her role on the team was mainly surveillance. So she could enter the jewelry store at a luxury hotel dressed like a rich customer, which she was, right? And so she would go in and they would fawn all over her, show her all the expensive things while she is like going, oh, over there, that's where your camera is. There's this many security guards. This is where all your good stuff is. And then going back and telling that to the team afterwards. So they did actually have a successful robbery. But unfortunately, afterwards, they were busted during a routine traffic stop because Dragon's cutting tools were in the trunk. Thanks, Dragon. Olivera was also taken in, but she didn't snitch on anybody and was sentenced to 6 years in prison on the island of Crete. She and Dragon both served their time, were released, but neither was the least bit reformed. In March of 2012, they met up again in Athens for another jewelry heist. Unfortunately for them, at the same time that they were robbing one store, somebody decided to rob the store next door, and the cops showed up for those other people. So then things just went haywire, and then there was shooting and there were guns, and Dragon was shot 3 times. He ended up in a coma for 40 days. Now, Olivera escaped, but in her sadness over her lost honey bunny, she holed up in their safe house, where she was caught along with a bunch of masks, wigs, fake identifications, and other evidence of their crime. And she was sent back to prison. While incarcerated this time, she started painting, and she was quite good at it, and was soon decorating the gloomy prison walls. I liked being busy. Drawing and painting allowed me to unleash the sorrows of everyday prison life. It was the only thing that could save and help me. She started getting special privileges and talked her way into painting the governor's office and having a friend deliver art supplies. Olivera told The Independent, the prison staff got used to me walking around quite freely. I was painting the halls near the main doors, freedom on the other side. The wardens began losing the sense that I was a prisoner. Using the prison phone, I called my friend, a fellow Panther, to pretend to deliver oil paints. I explained the situation, layout, and how a guard would accompany me to the main doors to pick up the art supplies. On the day of the escape, two associates pulled up to the prison on motorcycles. Her friend walked up to the prison's main door. The guard said, "Hello," and the friend knocked him out. Then they walked out to the waiting motorbikes and off they went. None of the police officers outside batted an eyelid because my friends and I walked so slowly and so calmly to the motorbikes, they assumed we were civilians because lots of civilians come in and out of that prison, which is a weird thing to have happen. But so it wasn't over. She had to walk 150 miles through the mountains of Macedonia, only stopping to charge her phone and pick up supplies from contacts along the way. She taped up her wrists and ankles like she was back at a championship game. She made it to the border where a Macedonian cab driver took her into Serbia, which has no extradition with Greece, and Olivera became the only woman to escape from a Greek prison. The press eats it up and nicknamed her the Spider Lady and the Amazon. And things honestly would have been just fine for her if she hadn't decided to return to Athens to do another job. She was caught 4 days after the robbery with 65 pounds of gold, which seems really hard to hide. This time she was sentenced to 32 years for 116 charges involving $500 million in goods, and no art supplies this time. So instead, she started writing her memoir. Her charges, though, were reduced and she was released in 5 years, but banned from ever returning to Greece. They're like, no more. You can't come back. Although I don't think she was, legitimately coming in before. But so Olivera says she's done with the life of crime. Her story is her enterprise now, and she does speaking engagements, YouTube, and all the other social medias. She wants to be a mentor to those in prison. Her diaries have been published as 3 books, I, Pink Panther, not available in English, and are being adapted into a TV show in Serbia, and a London company has purchased the film rights because it is a pretty bonkers story. The Pink Panthers, though, are still at it. Just this June, 2 suspected Pink Panthers were arrested in Bulgaria and Croatia under European arrest warrants issued by Greek authorities for a jewelry store robbery in Halkidiki that netted nearly 580,000 euros in watches and valuables that took place in 2025 and inside a Greek resort town of Thessaloniki, some Greek resort town. But anyways, that is the story of the Queen Panther, Olivera, and her famous heist and escape from prison, which is pretty awesome.
Heist.
Yeah, the heist and just the whole Pink Panthers themselves. And so there is I would recommend, there is a documentary called Smash and Grab, which is funny considering the people in this, that is about the Pink Panthers, which is kind of how I got there. And so I highly recommend watching that and seeing the rest of the stories of the heist. The things they have pulled off are pretty crazy. There was a Dateline episode on it, but it's the only Dateline episode that's not available like on Peacock. Like the in that season, like they skipped that one because they're bastards. Damn you, Keith Morrison. Okay. So back at our smash and grabs, Bart's there and he's there to talk about their score. And it's Luther Shrike.
Yeah. Who apparently is paranoid, agoraphobic, lives off the grid, and is a hoarder, specifically of rare supernatural objects. And he has a mahogany trunk that belongs to Bart, and it's locked up on this farm. Bart can't go in because of all the wards, and the only person that can open the vault that it's in is somebody, the blood of a man who has been to hell and back. So that's why he needs Dean, which Dean has a hell flashback here.
Yeah, and it's a very young Dean in hell, too. We're like, oh, you were such a baby when you were being tortured. Then it's so cute, little baby tortured Dean.
A long time ago, yeah. And he can't just take a sample of Dean's blood. It has to be, quote, straight from the tap. So Grab can locate it, the vault, once they're on premises, and then Smash can crack the safe that this is in. And Sam and Dean are there to handle all the curveballs, because there's always curveballs. So anyway, so that also means, though, that Shrike, this guy Luther Shrike, can use his own blood to access this. That means he has also been to hell. And so Bart explains that, yeah, he's human, but he's a sadist and a murderer, and that's all you need to know. So take the deal and we'll give you the second half of the spell. And if you don't take my deal, I'm taking the whole spell to Asmodeus. That's Bart's.
But he trusts him less than the Winchesters. So Dean and Sam are going to debate over what to do. And Sam says that they should screw them over first. So they should get the spell and then kill them.
And so they're like, Dean's like, yes, let's do this. So they need to plan a distraction. So we cut to Shrike's.
Well, yeah. So the Bart says they will never see them coming. Then it switches over to Luther's place where he says they are coming. That's a lot of coming.
So this demon, Asmodeus's demon, is telling Luther Shrike that he should call as soon as Bart shows up. And Shrike's like, no, I give orders, I don't take them. And he makes the demon cock smoke out.
Well, he has trapped that demon in a devil's trap. And so he's trapped him in a devil's trap, and then he exorcises him. So he sends him to hell. And then tells him to give, that's why he's like, give my boss an order. So outside then of Luther, Baby pulls up and Sam says at the gate that he is John Dortmunder, who is a fictional character in the novels of Donald Westlake. And he is a criminal whose careful plans usually go awry.
Oh. Well, he apparently has he says he has a family heirloom that they emailed about. And in the meantime, Dean and Smash are cuddled up under a blanket in the back seat hiding. And Dean tells her, hey, Winona, the 90s called and they like their shoes back. She is a little Winona-y. I'm going to give him that. Also, her boots are flowered ducks, and they did re-release those a couple of years ago. And I distinctly remember because I almost bought a pair because I am scarred for life by those ducks. Because as a teenage Diana used her little part-time job money to save up and buy a pair of those flowered ducks, the ones that there's the re-release of that she had for the record, but bought those and wore them legit like once, maybe twice. And then a stupid little troublemaker friend asked to borrow them and she let them, and they wore them to school once. And then something happened and they got kicked out of school and Diana never saw that person or the boots again.
Aww.
And I'm mad about it still.
That's funny. You know, it's like my first docs were 7-Eye Steel Toed. They were not flowers. But anyways.
Mine were flowered.
Anyway, so he rags on her poor flower dogs. But you're right. I mean, we'll talk later about her Winona-ness. But so she shushes him and Sam gets buzzed in. And he stops down the driveway to let Dean and Smash out. And Sam tells Dean to not get.
Yeah. So Sam pulls up to the house, and this house has very fancy burglar bars on it. First of all, I thought they were very pretty and ornamental. And also the front door is giant metal and covered in sigils. So Dean gets buzzed in and the door just opens, and the devil's trap is very clearly not covered now on the floor where it was covered previously. And Shrike just calls out that he's waiting in his office.
Yeah, and Sam just steps on the devil's trap, and I get that you're not a demon, but I still wouldn't just step on random things I see painted on the floor. I would just think, if I'm in a stranger's house and I see something painted on the floor, I avoid stepping on it.
But that's also, wouldn't this show Shrike that he's not a demon? And that doesn't seem to be the case either, because Shrike wasn't watching this. Apparently.
That's true, because Shrike thinks he's a demon. Luther thinks that he's a demon. So wouldn't Luther know then he's not a demon because he stepped on that and he didn't get stuck in it? Anyways, okay. So Luther calls him to the room. Then we go back outside to the rain where Smash and Dean are opening. They go like a barn door. Is the barn?
Yeah, they go in like a barn, basically. And Dean's doing a demon summoning spell so that they can get Grab there. And while he's doing that, Smash pulls out a can of nerve damage and takes a big sip and burps. And Dean calls her weird. But then he also realizes what she's drinking and he recognizes it. And he used to drink that when he was a kid. And he's all excited about it.
Yeah, but she had to buy it. Yeah. It's basically like Jolt. That's what they're comparing
it's totally
it to.
A Jolt Cola. It's totally a reference to Jolt Cola. But I'm like, I don't know if I trust eBay sodas to
Well, it's
drink
like
them.
people.
That's,
It's like people who sell the Dr Pepper stuff on eBay too.
I
So,
guess, that's true.
anyway, so she gives him one, and I also just don't think I'd want to drink that much caffeine before. Like, it's pretty late at night. First of all, you're gonna fuck up your sleep cycle, but it's also before like I had to do some like safe cracking stuff. I don't think I'd want to have the caffeine. I think that's a little too
Shaking.
jittery. But okay, so they
Okay.
decide they're gonna energy up. And he then gets like a little lectury and condescending and starts telling her that working for demons isn't a smart idea. And she's like, no shit. And it's not like she has it. And he's like, I don't have a choice. And she's like, same. And then he's like, did you get in some kind of trouble? Like, what the fuck do you think, Dean? Seriously.
Yeah.
She's just like working for a demon
She's,
just for the fuck of it.
I mean, some people might. I don't know, but yeah, it's
Like,
clearly
I mean, you clearly
a
looking at
dumb
her,
conversation.
she's, yeah. So, but she also doesn't want to have this conversation at all.
No.
And so it's like, how long is this gonna take? And so he throws a match in, and Grab appears.
Yeah. And Grab's like, cool, by the way, the vault is cloaked. We need Dean's blood to locate it. It's like a, oh gosh, I forgot the word, like a divining rod, right?
Yeah, a dividing rod,
So
dowsing
Dean's
rod,
like, fine.
dividing rod, dowsing rod.
Yeah. So Dean's like, fine, whatever. And they do a spell. And then Dean, it's this actually kind of hysterical scene. I
It
actually
is
enjoyed
really
it.
funny.
Dean did some good acting. It's good slapstick physical comedy. As his hand, the blood in his hand basically is dragging him around to point their direction of which way they need to go find this vault. It's funny.
It is. Back inside, Luther hands Sam some homemade gin, which Sam actually drinks, and you're a braver man than I am. Like, fuck no, I'm not going to drink your Jim Sock gin. And Sam's just like complimenting his collection. And Luther is testing him. It's like, you ever seen a fang of the basilisk? And Sam just smarts off. It's like, that's not a fang. Those are hollow. It's a gorgon tooth. And he's trying to stall and asking to see more of the collection, but Luther just pushes him off and says they should stick to the business.
Yeah, so Sam's going to open the box that he brought to show a one-of-a-kind knife that can kill demons, and it is the demon blade in the box. So
there is a deleted
that is what they're
scene.
using as their distraction.
Yeah, there is a deleted scene here, more about the demon blade, where Sam is talking about how it's a family heirloom and he got it from his Aunt Ruby.
Oh, interesting.
So I don't know, they deleted it. So outside, they are stumbling through the woods, and Dean is just not happy with his hand guiding the way. And they come to a cellar door which doesn't have a lock.
Yeah, and not being locked is also concerning immediately for everybody. So Smash opens the door, Grab's like, fuck that, I'm gonna talk shit. So Dean and Smash go down, and they find the light switch quite easily. It's like a workshop, but then at the across it is this crazy like wooden door with a giant
Hog's head.
sculptural dog head.
It's a
or
pig.
Hog's head. It's a sculpture. It's a sculptural head on it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a boar's head, and his mouth is open, and Dean's supposed to stick his hand in it, and he's like, no thanks. And I'm also like, no thanks. And we cut from that back to the inside, where Luther is now asking Sam, what's the price for my this demon knife?
And Sam's like, yeah, it's whatever you said in your email. And he's like, so Shrike's got a big old wad of cash, but he's like, I know that's not what you're here for. Bart sent you. And he puts the knife at Sam. And he thinks that Sam is a demon, so we are going to have a fight. And the knife gets thrown away. Shrike gets a shotgun. It's a little crazy. But finally, Sam gets the knife back and stabs Shrike in the gut with it. And apparently, Bart failed to inform them that as long as he's on the property, he cannot die.
And also, Sam you just killed this dude. That's a little harsh, man. Like, y'all were just fighting, but he's a human and you just killed him. But you didn't really kill him, but you kind of did. And so then he smacks Sam. You tried to. And so then Luther Shrike smacks Sam with the Gorgon tooth.
Yeah. and
And
knocks him
that
out.
knocks him out because knocks his so now he's the one with a concussion, and so Sam's a concussion watch, and we go to the cellar where Dean is still not wanting to stick his hand in because spiders.
There could be spiders, spidery things, or snakes or spiders in that room, and he doesn't want to stick his hand in there. But he finally hypes himself up and he puts his hand in, and it's another really it's a really good physical comedy scene for Jensen, quite frankly, because he gets to be really silly kind of about this. He's really overacting about like putting his hand in, and then it clamps down on his hand, and he's like kind of freaking out, and then all it does is barely prick his finger, and
Well,
he's
it's
still
a lot of
freaking out.
mechanical work too because it sounds like it's going to be a whole lot. It's like
Oh yeah, it's cool. It's well done. And then just a tiny little pinprick, bink, and then it opens. What? And we have a room with the floor covered in sigils. It is very, very, very Indiana Jones.
yeah. Or as
And
Dean
there's
will call it later, dollar store Indiana Jones crap. And so Grab yells at them, and only to get caught by Luther, who stabs him with a demon knife, which he now has. And Dean's ranting about the dollar store Indiana Jones crap, and Luther shows up. Smash kicks him in the shins and runs past him. Good for you. And then Dean asks where Sam is, and Luther says he's alive and he's surprised that Bart has humans working for him. Dean clocks the knife, pulls out his gun, says gun beats knife, and then as how about you hand over the safe, and then I'll be home in time to watch Game of Thrones. Dun dun dun, catch for later. And Luther says I'm more of a book guy.
yeah. And then Sam is there and is like, he's immortal. Oopsies. So they have to knock him out, which is good. They're able to do that and tie him up. And Dean's like, you just need to tell us how to get to the safe, and then we'll let you go. And Shrike's like, no, you can never crack that riddle. And there's 1,000 tiny darts with silver and arsenic and holy water and holy oil in them.
So just tons of darts just to kill, like, whatever, right? So Dean duct tapes his mouth up. And outside, though, Smash has met Bart at the gate. And she's super upset over everything that's happened. And we find out her name is Alice now, because that's what Bart calls her. And then he tells her just because he likes her doesn't mean he's willing to renegotiate their deal. And she says that she'll make it up to him, just tell her what he wants to do.
Yeah. And so back in this vault, Sam and Dean are discussing the tiles in the riddle. And basically Sam's like, there's infinite combinations. We have to get help. And they have a conversation.
Is a hoodoo disc floor? I did like the hoodoo disco floor. That was a good word. Good one. Yeah. And then the entrapment thing is funny too.
Yeah. And then finally they're like, wait, I have an idea. And so they have Shrike on a wheeled platform, and they just roll him ahead of them and let him take all the darts.
And because he can't die, then it just doesn't hurt him.
Yeah. So he is pissed. They just stroll up to the safe, and he is full of darts, and Dean calls it awesome. And then Smash shows back up. And they have figured out that she has made a deal with Bart and sold her soul, but she keeps working to prevent Bart from collecting her soul. And Sam and Dean are like, we can help. And she's like, pass. I'm going to open this safe. Leave me. I'm going to look out for me.
Yep. And she pulls out a stethoscope and she starts cracking. And she opens up the safe, and the boys take out a large chest. But Luther is gone.
Ruh-roh. So somehow he has untied himself and escaped full of darts while they were doing all this. And outside it is now daylight. So this did take all night. So they probably did need that caffeine, quite frankly. But that's the only way I would have made it through the night. But either way, they get the trunk loaded into baby. They're driving away. And as they're driving off premises, which on this lovely road, quite frankly, there's Shrike is waiting in a red pickup truck. And Dean decides to do some stunt driving. It is very impressive in reverse. And he drives really fast in reverse until finally Sam's got a gun ready, and he swings around sideways so they can shoot out the tires. And then they pull him out of the truck. And he's like, Shrike accuses Sam and Dean of whoring themselves out to pure evil and explains that his son was dying and he made a deal with Bart trading his life. But then just a few years later, the son died anyways. He drowned, and all Bart would say was that accidents happen. And so the hounds dragged him to hell. And while he was in hell, he negotiated a new deal because he had leverage inside the trunk. And he has the key to the trunk around his neck, which probably would have been useful to get also, just as an aside. But he has this key, and they open the trunk, and inside the trunk is Bart's bones. Ooh. And he's like, y'all are on the wrong side. And then Bart cuts his head off.
Oops. So now Luther has left his house so he can die. And so now he is dead. And so Bart gives Alice a wad of cash. And I really like his Boston suit. And he pulls out the Nephilim spell. And Sam's just like, nope, can't do it. And Dean's just like, we just don't like you. And then Bart grabs Alice and threatens to kill her for the bones. Bart tells Alice to get the bones, right? Alice says that she is sorry. Dean's is like, man, it's okay. You just got to take care of you. You just got to take care of you. And the camera pans to the top of the bones where we can see there is a lighter waiting. And Alice grabs the Zippo and lights the bones on fire. And then Sam
catches fire.
And Bart catches on fire. And so does the spell, because Sam was too stupid to pull the spell. Get the fucking spell! What is wrong with you, morons?
I was literally watching it, and I'm like, why don't they pull the spell out of his hand?
You're right there.
And he's like,
you're like 7 feet tall.
Like, oh my God, I'm on fire.
You could be over there in like half a second. Just go one side, giant Sam step, 2 giant Sam step. I have a spell.
And like Bart's standing there for a while, like, oh my Lord, I'm on fire. Well, my Lord, obviously, because he's a demon, but standing there like, oh, I'm on fire. This is crazy. Like watching himself burn, holding the spell up in the air. And they're like, oh yeah, by the way, we should get that. It's too late. It burns up.
It's too late.
Crazy. Yeah.
So poor Bart is now in the empty. And Luther's dead. Yeah. But so yay, I guess we kind of won. And so we go to the bus station where they're going to give Alice her she's taking a bus to somewhere.
Yeah. And Dean, she apologizes and thanks them. And Dean,
what's she apologizing for, really? I mean, she kind of double-crossed them, but not really. I mean, she came back. I mean, she didn't really double cross them. I don't know. So, but anyway, she apologizes. I don't think she has to. And, just basically says that she didn't have to do that for her and says she'll see them around. Dean tells her to stay weird, and she flashes a peace sign and sticks out her tongue.
Yeah. And the bus drives away, and we never see her again. Yeah, so we go back to the bunker where Sam and Dean are having bunker beers, and now Sam is bummed. Now Sam's the sad one because it's not the best day, but it's not the worst. But basically, like, they're back at square one, and now Dean's like, "Well, we saved some money, so that's good. And you know what? We're just going to keep working. It's what we do." And now, so Sam's happy to hear that tone from Dean, who now they're kind of switched, where Dean was sad sack and Sam was trying to keep him motivated, and now Sam's sad sack and Dean's back motivated.
Yeah. So, and then they cheers, and that is how they end this episode. So we have some heist people to talk about and some demons.
We do. So I'll start with Barthamus. He's played by David Cubitt. He's been in episodes of 21 Jump Street, X-Files, Arrow, Bates Motel, Once Upon a Time, Travelers, Altered Carbon, Good Doctor, Nancy Drew, Fire Country, and more. He was Fito in the movie Alive, which totally messed me up as a kid. He was Detective Lee Scanlon in Medium as a regular character, the TV show Medium. John in Van Helsing as a regular character. Ted in Siren. Calvin in Virgin River. And Eli in Allegiance. So he's in a lot of regular roles on television. Smash, aka Alice, was played by Christy Burke. She's been in episodes of Tower Prep, Almost Human, Falling Skies, Van Helsing, and Maid. She is also the teenage slash young woman version of Renesmee in Twilight Breaking Dawn.
That is hilarious.
Yeah. Grab is played by Matthew Kevin Anderson. He's actually been mostly an acting coach and cast reader in a lot of stuff, but you may have seen him in a Hallmark movie. He's done a lot of those. He's a clerk in the horror film Trick or Treat. He's also in episodes of the 4400, Almost Human, iZombie, Flash, Travelers, Magicians, Chesapeake Shores, and Resident Alien. Good old Luther Shrike was played by Richard Brake. He's been in a lot of things also. Episodes of Mob City, Grimm, Game of Thrones. So funny
Which
reference.
is why that was funny.
Peaky Blinders, Brave New World, the miniseries that came out recently, Cursed, and Mandalorian. He's also Joe Chill in the movie Batman Begins, Bobby DeWitt in the movie The Black Dahlia, Gary in Halloween 2, that's the 2009 version. He's a lieutenant in Thor the Dark World, Winslow in the movie Three from Hell, and he's Mr. Wolfgang Orlick in the 2022 Monsters movie, and Kessler in the film Altered with Tom Felton. Asmodeus' demon that we saw briefly talking to Luther Shrike was played by Pasha Ibrahimi. He's been in episodes of Trailer Park Boys, Supergirl, The Good Doctor, Shadowhunters, iZombie, Nancy Drew, and Big Sky. Our museum guard that turned into a demon was played by Charles Jarman. He's actually mostly a stuntman, which is interesting, including things like Last of Us, High Potential, My Lady Jane, Wonka, Kung Fu, Wonder Woman 1984, and 28 Days Later, and Gladiator. He did stunts for all of those. It's pretty crazy. You would have seen him in episodes of Tracker, Flash, Charmed, Arrow, and Fringe. He was the priest in the newer horror movie Longlegs that people really like, but I don't watch scary movies. And was a radar tech in the film White House Down.
Very cool.
There we go. Yeah. Interesting cast.
Yeah, it was a good cast.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. But yeah, so interesting episode. It was very satisfying and unsatisfying at the same time.
And why was it unsatisfying?
Well, because they were back at ground like square one, like I said.
You mean with Jack, with the Jack thing at the end?
Yeah, they didn't get the spell. It didn't really like the main storyline didn't get like driven forward. Like they didn't really make any progress on anything. I guess.
Yeah,
other
that's
than keeping
true.
the spell, getting to Asmodeus. That's the only good news out of it. But yeah, that was the bummer about it. I mean, it wasn't like you don't really think about that. I didn't think about that until after I watched it. I was like, well, shit. Just didn't really move forward at all. Except that I guess their attitude about it changed, which is good. Dean's a little more optimistic now, I guess, and a little more focused on just getting things done. So there we go.
Yeah. So I mean, that was still, and it's still resolved, right? And we got a whole thing where we got a whole new demon that we met and then we lost, and which is pretty sad, like how many hundreds of years was Barthamus probably alive, and then he meets the Winchesters, and poof, there he goes. No more Boss Tone suits for him.
Boss Tones Bart, is that what we're gonna call him now?
Boss Tones Bart, who's Dickie Bartnett. But yeah,
I enjoyed Smash and Grab. I enjoyed Smash and Grab.
Yeah, Alice is a really good. So we're talking about the Winona-ness of Alice, and I think when her reading Renesmee is hysterical that was her as a younger person and that she grew into Alice. Right. I mean, how old was she? Must have been as Renesmee.
I don't know, man.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, I'm assuming it's a part where she's like the little girl, right?
She's the teenage / young woman version of Renesmee.
Okay, yeah, okay,
but not the child.
Not the child one. Okay. But I knew she wasn't like the, the not eating baby. But, but that I thought she was like the slightly one. But anyways, it's still a funny thing to be. But I think the hairstyle and the just kind of the face, like her face, and like just her face looks like Winona. She just has kind of
She
Winona
does. She's very
quality to her.
Winona-y. Very
And
much.
I think they just, they obviously overemphasized it with her wardrobe, but I think that is just, I think she just probably naturally has that quality.
I agree. I
But I
get it
really
too.
enjoy her.
Yeah. They do a good job of throwing a good subcultural type of girl in there, which I know is also like a kind of a cliche, but I also enjoy it, so it's fine.
Well, I mean, at least, well, and it was like you didn't have to put a chick into your heist, right? Like, so I'm glad you brought, a good strong female character who, didn't take a lot of shit from the men, but
And she
it's,
had a strong skill.
she had a strong skill. She's a safecracker. But honestly, women are part of the Pink Panthers team. So should have brought that. They're a very feminist organization. Women, no, they're not. But anyways, but yeah, so I appreciated the woman being part of a heist and having the safe cracking skills, and the demon. I don't grab just reminded me of like maybe I'm just in a Boss Tones thing. He was just like the ska reject with the hat, like so he's the guy who's watching the Boss Tones.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, he's the Boss Tones fan.
Oh,
So yeah, he was a fun. I think we could have done a little more with his character, but he was still fun, and I appreciated Luther's house. Although it's kind of again in the what gets left in Supernatural. Did they just leave everything that was in Luther's house? Didn't he
apparently,
have
wouldn't
like
they
a
let
giant
stuff? I mean, like, wouldn't they
collection of like occult shit? Like,
shouldn't
shouldn't
they
they
like
have like
confiscate it
take?
and bring it to the bunker?
I think they should have, and would have taken like more than a night. Like, I'm feeling like you need to do it like a Luther estate sale,
They look
or
a
at least
U-Haul.
at least take everything to the bunker. But
Yeah, for real.
yeah, and
So
I do think Luther's character is also. And this is slightly unsatisfying to me, is that they go through this thing to try and make you feel sorry for his character, right? That
yeah,
he had this little boy that died even though he was supposed to be saved, and it is kind of a shitty thing to happen, to have your little boy, he was cured from cancer or whatever, that just be drowned, right? So that is a horrible thing to happen. But is that why his personality became so shitty? Like what?
but I mean,
Like
he might have been. I mean, but they also came in to take advantage of him, and he knew that. So was he really that bad, or did Bart really make up that he
I
was that
don't
bad?
know. Like, but he was still collecting all the stuff of the occult, right? And so he didn't seem like that great of a character. I don't know. Maybe I am stereotyping collectors of the occult, and I should automatically assume people who collect demon knives are bad. Maybe he wanted to do something good with a demon knife.
Like kill demons?
So was he a hunter?
No. But I think that there would have been a potential for a Luther to have a more than one episode though, just because I think it would have been an interesting arc. That's my
I mean, at least be a little more description on whether or not he was bad, because we get kind of left with this in the middle. I'm not really quite sure
yeah.
where he
Like
falls.
did he turn dark because of what happened to him, or was he an opportunist and was made out to be darker than he was? I don't know.
He was so dark to begin with. But then why
Yeah.
would he have
That's
all
possible
the? I
too.
mean, but he was trying to keep the things. I don't know. There's so many different ways it could go. Yeah, I think we needed. I think we needed more time with Luther.
Yeah, I agree. I
Yep.
agree.
Well, at least you're right. Like Dean's not being a sad sack, so at least we have that, and so we have that to look forward to. And anything else?
He's motivated. No,
He's
that's it.
motivated. All right. So cheers, jerk.
Cheers, bitch.